Well, coming up now on Rookie Rorty, we continue a tough little patch of fixtures we're in currently here at Jahn Regensburg. First up, we host top of the table Nürnberg in the two Bundesliga, and then for the second season in a row, we've got Bayern Munich in the DFB-Pokal. Hello everyone and welcome to episode number 48 of Rookie Rorty here on Shaun Does FM with Jahn Regensburg. I hope you're doing well, and as I said in the intro, coming up today, we've got Nürnberg in the two Bundesliga. Big clash that one as they sit top of the table, and then I'll take on Ingolstadt off camera before we play Bayern in the DFB-Pokal. To be fair, probably going to rotate quite heavily for that game, considering got a pretty good chance, it looks like, this season of trying to get promotion up to the Bundesliga. Don't want any injuries from a game that we probably won't be winning, but hopefully you guys are looking forward to this coming up in today's episode. It does come off the back of the last episode at the end of last week, which was the last game that I played on camera, Heidenheim, and before then Werder Bremen, those two teams that did come down from the Bundesliga last season. So if you missed that one, I'll leave a link to it over in the top right corner. 2 wins there in those games I played on camera, either side of an international break, and big bottle job there when we took on Eintracht Braunschweig. But thankfully going into today's episode, we've got no injuries, and we sit in third with this game in hand over Heidenheim, who, to be fair, have improved their goal differential quite a bit there with a 4-0 win over Paderborn. So unfortunately, we've dropped from second to third off the back of that game. But if we can pick up a win here, we will certainly keep ourselves around the fight for one of those automatic promotion spots up to the Bundesliga. But a very tough task for us here as we take on Nürnberg, the only team yet to lose a game in this Bundesliga this season. So obviously, this one's going to be very tough. You'll see it over there on the right-hand side, Edgar Motter and Lucas Schleimer having very good seasons, as is their goalkeeper and Konstantin High. But let's make our way over here to the club info page. The manager does like a 4-4-2, but a diamond narrow. Maybe that's actually what we need to do with our 4-4-2 instead of trying to do it the usual way where we include wingers. But these guys obviously come to this game in some ridiculously good form. 5 wins from 5 in the last couple of games. So a big test for us here, but fingers crossed at home we can find a way to maybe take some points off these guys and try and make sure that we keep winning games around that Bayern one, which no doubt will absolutely dent the confidence of pretty much our entire squad. But of course, it's Bayern Munich getting them for the second year in a row this early in the cup. A little bit frustrating, but in terms of our team, the exact same as it was for that home game at the end of last week. So it does mean Myers there at left wing and also Sousa at left back. And this time, I remembered to start Manrique because there was a bit of a silly one from me today, starting Castillo over him. Thankfully, he got slightly injured. Thankfully, he can still make his way on the bench for this game. But we brought him on early, and he's been in some really good form recently. Here's Manrique, so a big balls up from me there, leaving in Castillo from those friendlies I was playing, trying to get a 5-3-2 working. But there we are with the same starting lineup from that Heidenheim game, just with Manrique back in as it should have been. There are Nürnberg indeed. They are going with that 4-4-2 diamond. Maybe that's something I need to try instead of the 5-3-2, because that also wasn't working too well. Maybe we use a diamond here for that other tactic if we do need one. But so far the 4-2-3-1 is working, with the occasional switch to the 4-3-3 when there's a team that does suit that to be using against them. But unfortunately, first highlight here, and it is Nürnberg, who are on the attack. They try and get her off there at the near post like we've been doing recently with Ruslan, but thankfully that one's just off target. And now there's a highlight on the 10-minute mark. They try and make their way here out from back. Thankfully, we win that ball there down our left-hand side. Walden, nice pass there through to Max Meyer, who can't quite hit the target. Massive chance there for our backup left winger, who of course these days is kind of being a starter with the lack of minutes that Stollery has been getting. A big chance there for them at the far post down Nürnberg. Lots of action early in this game, but thankfully that one comes off the wood. It was just about there to demand more, but there's a highlight here for Nürnberg. Fingers crossed here it might end up being in our favour. Nitro does get a shot off. Thankfully that one goes just over the bar. I think we'll encourage, because we're not losing it. And honestly, with all the highlights here that have been in favour of Nürnberg, that's a bit surprising. But again there, we're on the attack this time. Just can't get a shot off. So Nürnberg will try and make their way out from the back. Just Van there somehow keeps hold of the ball. And now Motta down that right-hand side. Nice pass in there for Batali. And they switch that rather easily to Zenta down the left-hand side. Floats this one far post. A looped header there from Ingolstadt, but thankfully that one goes over the pass. So lots of early chances here for the away team, but thankfully We're just finding a way to hold on, fingers crossed here, that continues until we can get on the front foot. But now they've got a throw in here inside of the final third. Ingolstadt this time gets it on target. That does feel like a pretty soft goal to concede with the chances that they haven't been putting away. But to be fair, all the highlights have been in their favour, bar one, that big chance to maximize, which now does prove quite costly because we go 1-0 down, not really too sure how. That's found its way into the back of the net from that far out, but Lukic does get beaten. We go 1-0 down stats-wise. Pretty hard to argue that they don't deserve that. So unfortunately, if we lose this game, then we'll have catch-up to play on Heidenheim, who do sit in second. There'll be a bit of a bummer off the back of that big 3-1 win we picked up against them yesterday. But now we have a corner looking for someone at the far post, but it finds its way to Ruslan at the near one, who can hit it home. So a bit there of a lucky goal, but we'll take it not behind here for too long. We make it 1-1 looking here. I think it is for Munrik, not too sure if he's won it, but it falls to Ruslan, who can put that one away in the top left corner. So thankfully, despite the fact we've not been that good so far in this game, we make it 1-1. Now Sousa, who's been superb for recently, will float this one far post looking for Walden. Can't find him, but he does retreat and get that ball back for us. Now it's Ostojic who plays it back in from looking there for Meyer at the far post. In fact, that might have actually been Stewart. We do keep the ball. Munrik now will find Ostojic. What can he do? Makes his way deep inside the box, pulls that one back there for Sousa. A tight angle. He takes on the shot, but Heidi comes up with a big save. Of course, for this game, won't keep a clean sheet, which is quite nice because he's certainly been doing that early part of the season. From the corner, we look near post, and unfortunately can't put that one on target, but all of a sudden, getting on the front foot off the back of that Ruslan goal, which did kind of come out of nowhere. Hubner with a late yellow card in the first half, so probably not a bad idea here to take him off. And also, there's a few other players out there actually struggling quite a bit in terms of their ranks. We're going to make quite a few subs here at halftime. Carstens at centre back, Dawn at left back, Bullich and Balling midfield, and also we'll try here at left wing Greenwood. We'll leave out Leighton Stewart. 6.4. We better save up one sub for the second half just in case someone does get injured. But really, a lot of players out there who aren't going too well. So fingers crossed here that we can actually improve and try and somehow pick up all 3 points from this game. Because to be fair, so far we've been pretty average, but stats-wise somehow actually on the front foot. We haven't seen too many highlights in our favour. Nürnberg all over us in the early stages of this game, but thankfully Ruslan with that fortunate goal to make it 1-1. And now we're on the attack early here in the second half. Ramsey with a shot that gets blocked, but now it finds its way out there to Ostojic, and Ramsey will pick up the assist. We take a 2-1 lead early in the second half. So for this one, we're getting pretty fortunate to still be in this game, but all of a sudden we are a goal in front. Ramsey's shot there did get blocked, but thankfully we got the ball back. He can find Ostojic there in a ton of space down our right hand side. Our new right back will put that one away, and we're 2-1 in front. If you've just looked at the stats from this game, you probably think we've been the better team, not based on the highlights that I've been seeing. So I'm quite thankful that we've actually got a lead in this game and might get something out of it. We're on the attack there again from a front inside the final third. Unfortunately, do lose out on the ball. Good work there from Ruslan, though, to win that one back for us. Bullich plays it back to our goalkeeper. Now Carstens to Munrik. It looks like here Nürnberg are going to put some big pressure on us here as we try and make our way out from back. But thankfully we find Dawn, who starts to charge forward. Let's see what he can do. Now he's been a bit of a spell out of the team, while Sousa has been going quite well with that first half. He was a bit average, but unfortunately we do lose that ball, and now Zenta makes his way forward down that left-hand side across there. That took a big old block, but Batali will put that one away and make it 2 also. Unfortunately, don't have that lead for too long, and a 2 scoreline probably quite fair. Still don't feel like we've been that good in this game, and Nürnberg do score a second. A little bit unlucky with that deflection. I imagine that was from Ostojic there at right back, but unfortunately it just did mean our centre backs weren't quite ready to try and clear that ball away, and Batali can put that one away. So 2-2 here with 20 minutes left with our final sub. We'll take off Ramsey, who is playing quite well, but down to a red hat. Charlie Allen can come off him. Leighton Stewart on a 6.3, not going very well, but we better leave him out there because he's not absolutely shattered like Aaron Ramsey, who is very injury prone, but making our way forward. A few minutes off the back of that final sub, Lukic throws that one out there to Carstens, and now we go forward to Greenwood. Let's see what we can do here down our left-hand side. Munrik just takes his time on the ball. Bullock up there to Allen, who picks out here Dawn in a bit of space. Can he pick up another assist here? And this one floats that one far post. I think that would have been for Walden. Unfortunately, that header though straight into the path of their goalkeepers. A decent chance for us there that Dawn tries to create. Unfortunately, can't take it today. And we're about to make our way into the final 10 minutes. We'll just up tempo a little bit and also just play a bit wider and distribute quickly while we've got this menu open. And also maybe chuck Bullock onto support. Just go a little bit more positive here and try and pick up all 3 points at home. A draw's not a disaster, considering that these guys are top of the league, but it would be nice to pick up a win, even though we haven't been that good. Manrique wins that ball, but unfortunately Nürnberg, they do get it back here. Hoa starts to make his way forward down the right-hand side, plays it back there to Kenny, and then to Martin. Back on the ball there is Hua and Vanderberg, the former Liverpool man. I dare say that is, but thankfully that pass is not on the money. But then Dawn, with a terrible idea, they do get a late shot off there, do Nürnberg, but thankfully that one's pretty safely off target, the wrong side of that right-hand post. We're still slightly edging things here in terms of stats somehow, but in the end, this one is going to finish as a 2-2 draw. Both teams there blowing a lead at times during that game. Based on the highlights we saw, don't think we were actually that good that time though, so I think we'll take the point from that game against the team who so far haven't lost the game, and that's only the second time that they've dropped points. To be fair, it's not that bad a result, despite the fact that stats-wise, you do see that and think that we were quite dominant. Didn't really feel that way from what I was seeing in the match engines. So I think there we take the point from that game and hopefully can make the most of our next game against Ingolstadt away. Those guys are really struggling. It's a local derby, but fingers crossed we can beat those guys, even though that one is away from home, and maybe some results will fall in our favour. But for now, we hold third spot off the back of that 2-2 draw. And before we take on Bayern here, the highlights here from the Ingolstadt game, the derby away from home. Unfortunately, he got off to a poor start considering only 3 minutes in, which had me a little bit worried. But then, thankfully, got to act in the gear off the back of a demand. More suitors there, squeeze that one for Ramsey. We equalise just shy of the 20-minute mark, and then 10 minutes shy of half-time. We did find a way to take the lead. Sousa again here on the attack, causing these guys all sorts of issues, and Leighton Stewart can poke that one past Bovink at the near post, and that got even better. Just a few minutes later, we made it 3-1. Nice pass there from Walden, and Leighton Stewart got on a hat-trick. Unfortunately, he did then get injured, so that was the only real downside from this game, because then Walden, with yet another assist, and Veloso, who came on for Stewart, got a goal there just before the half. So a 4-1 lead there at halftime after going 1-0 down. Then on the attack here early in the second half, and Manrique gets that goal poached from him there by Max Meyer. That made it 5-1. We weren't done yet. Lovely ball over the top from him there. And Veloso also got himself onto a hat-trick to make it 6-1. And then with 5 minutes left, a free kick, which somehow Hubner beats their goalkeeper from there from a very tight angle. And we come from 1-0 down to pick up a 7-1 win in the local derby. Certainly, that's a big bounce back there from that draw against Nürnberg. Very efficient in front of goal, which is good to see. I dare say their manager might be in a bit of trouble, because they're now down in 16th. They were expected to finish 17th, but still, that's pretty poor losing in your derby, 7-1 at home as well. So a big win for us there. That actually is super good for our goal differential, and especially because Heidenheim, they lost their minds, haven't quite caught us yet. We've gone back up to second, and their goal differential now is pretty good as well, quite comparable to Mainz, which does make a big difference. So we've made our way up there back to second on 25 points, one clear of both Mainz and Heidenheim, but their goal differential certainly on the improve as well. So big win for us there to get back in one of those automatic promotion spots up to the Bundesliga for next season. Fingers crossed that now we can hold on to it, because the beef off the back of that Nürnberg game before the winter break, we've got Darmstadt, they're okay, but at home we'd like to think we can win that one, albeit at home form of late hasn't actually been too good in the 2 Bundesliga. But then in November, Hansa Rostock, Hertha and Kaiserslautern do look quite winnable games. In our last one before the winter break, Dynamo Dresden in the relegation zone. So to be fair, got a nice little run here before the winter break once we get through Bayern Munich. And unfortunately, that Leighton Stewart injury was quite serious. Pulled ankle ligaments. He's out for 3 to 11 days. So it does mean that he'll miss this big game we have here in the second round of the DFB-Pokal as we take on Bayern Munich, who these days are managed by Pep Guardiola. because Vincent Kompany got the Man City job during the off-seasons. Of course, those two have done a swap that does feel quite appropriate with Kompany's history there at Man City. But Pep's here for his first full season at Bayern Munich. We'll just see how these guys did in the Champions League last season. No doubt these guys are defending Bundesliga holders. Last year, though, they were also the Champions League winners, but this time it was Barcelona. So this year, they're not the best team in Europe, but they have been for 2 years before that. So this is a very good Bayern team that we're going to take on here yet again these days with Pep Guardiola in charge. They're going to be super hard to beat. So because of that and how well we're doing in the 2 Bundesliga, I have decided to just full rotate for this game. We'll see how we get on, but I don't want any serious injuries from this game because we're probably going to lose it anyway. So we're going to stick with our 4-2-3-1 because it's working pretty well. But my hopes aren't high here with a full rotation, a couple of big guns down there on the bench. But really, just want to make sure that no one else gets injured so we can then get stuck into the rest of this time before the winter break and pick up those big points there in the 2 Bundesliga. But definitely, this one will be tough. Interesting to see there that Gladbach knocked out by Leverkusen and also a couple of other teams from the 2 Bundesliga not doing too badly against Bundesliga teams, albeit the one I see there in particular, that would be Mainz. It's St. Pauli, who were down here last season, but Eintracht Frankfurt, they got pushed there by Grufer Firth. So maybe if we're on our game, no, Shaun, you've got no chances. Bayern Munich, it's seriously a different level. Let's just not even speak it into existence. We're only showing this game on the off chance that we do pull off an upset, but let's be real, it's just a chance here for our rotation players to get some game time. Hopefully as well those players down the left-hand side in Dorn and Stollery, who we're starting in this game, can find some form if we need to start using them in the first team. And to be fair, this could be quite important as well for both Veloso and Buller, who are our strikers, with no Leighton Stewart for our next couple of 2 Bundesliga games. We'll see which of these two do perform better, and they'll probably get the nod for that Darmstadt game, which to be fair looks like one of the tougher ones I've got before the winter break, alongside that one when we do take on, I think it was, Hertha Berlin, those 2 teams inside of the top 10, but I'm leaning towards actually coming back for the next episode off the back of that winter break. But obviously, it depends how busy I am with work and real life stuff. But let's see here how we get on this season against Bayern Munich, this time with a tactic that we know kind of suits us. Last season, we were still guessing what we were doing here at Jahn Regensburg. This season, we've got a bit more of an identity and a style to us, just the same one that we had at Buxton. But these guys are really good. Nice work there from Carstens, but that clearance is an absolute shocker. They hit it for there to Semi through Gakpo. It's such a soft goal to concede. Beat us in the match engine properly, not this silly stuff here by our defenders. Freitas there with a loose touch. Good work then from Carstens, but that clearance is an absolute shocker. Pau Fernandes goes out to try and close it down. It leaves a big gap there for their striker to put that one past Herders. It's a shocking goal to concede. We've gone 1-0 down inside 15 minutes of this. Could be quite painful, but it probably would have been anyway, even if we used our best players for this game. So I think here, going off a rotation doesn't hurt too much.
Yeah.
But Aaron Ramsey will have to come off the bench quite early because Charlie Allen's picked up a major injury. So all of a sudden, this is not a fun day at the office for us here as we take on Bayern Munich. We've gone 1-0 down early through a pretty soft goal that we've conceded and given away. And now we've lost our backup central attacking midfielder. To be fair, we've got some options in our B team. And now Dawn drops down to a red hat. Fingers crossed we get him through there to halftime. Garcia now with a free kick. To be fair, that one not too bad. Forces a decent save there out of Bayern's goalkeeper, whoever that is, for this game in the cup. But now we'll go corner. We try and go near post. Unfortunately, Bayern actually here might get a decent chance on the counter-attack. Thankfully, Lima just takes some time there so we can just get back into position. That's our first good chance of this game. Looks like it'll be our only one before halftime because now Bayern here do have a corner and Upamecano will put that one away like Ruslan was doing in the last couple of episodes and make it 2-0. So that a bit of a dagger blow there before halftime. Bayern, they do grab a cushion goal. I don't think we'll change too much technically here going into the second half because really we know this works. We maybe just lower the tempo a little bit, but unfortunately it's Bayern Munich. It was always going to be tough. What we'll do here at halftime is probably take off Dawn because he is really struggling on that red. Hartz Sousa can come off the bench for him. And also, we might do some other subs below. So we could use in that next game. Let's see how Buller gets on here. A little bit away from his usual position as a deep lying forward. Obviously, we can't get that 4-4-2 to work. So we'll bring him on there up front. Meyer at left wing. Castellari continues to be rubbish. And Sousa at left back. So hopefully that means that those guys won't be too tired for that game we've got coming up in the league, which is against Darmstadt. We'll tell the guys just need a bit more time on the ball here in the second half. And also, we have lowered that tempo, so fingers crossed that might help us create some better chances when we do have the ball here in the second half. But to be fair, that's more hopeful rather than confident, because it's Bayern Munich. I don't know how well we'll get on in this game. Aaron Ramsey coming off the bench too on a 6.2 is not too great, but Bayern here try and make their way forward and make it 3-0. Gakpo cuts, and so of course he scored against us last season, but that was back in the first round. Thankfully, we've got through one round before this time around, so it does mean we will get a little bit of coin for our troubles this season. But Garcia here, we do get that ball back. I actually think that was through Buller, who tracked back quite nicely, and with the slightly lower tempo, hopefully can actually do something now that we are on the ball. We get it out there to Meyer, down our left-hand side, plays it forward to Ramsey, who drifts a little bit wide. That's a quite fancy-looking pass there that picks out Max Meyer. We make it 2-1, so maybe the slower tempo might just work. It might be time now to encourage as we make our way to the final half hour of this game. But this pass from Ramsey looked quite interesting. It's a back flick. That is all sorts of tricky and flashy there from Aaron Ramsey on a 6.2. That should get it up quite nicely. A 6.7, he should be on a green for that pass. It was stunning, but we're back in this game at 2-1, albeit now it's Bayern there from set piece. Thankfully, they put that one just on the wrong side of the woodwork. But now, a couple of players out there are still on some poor ratings. In particular, it's Greenwood. So with our final sub, we may as well see if we can find a way to take this one to extra time or a replay. Not too sure how things work here, especially this early in the DFB-Pokal. So Lewis Walden can come on there at right wing. Hopefully might help out someone like Buller with the goal scoring side of our attack in this game. But we're well and truly back in this one at 2-1. So fingers crossed here we can fluke away to grab one more goal and maybe make Bayern here sweat a little bit, because Pep was talking down about us in the pre-match, which was a little bit insulting considering how well we are doing in this Bundesliga. But they are Bayern. They probably can do that, but they're pressing us quite nicely here. We are struggling to make our way out from that. Carstens out there to Sousa. It goes to Castillo. Some interesting passing. Really need to hoof this one deep. Garcia with a terrible back pass. They've scored 2 goals now from some pretty poor work from our defenders. That time Garcia, and they make it 3-1. They're back in front quite comfortably. Pep, you can keep talking smack about us, because that was really poor there from Garcia. They just put too much pressure on us there, and for some reason we didn't hoof it deep, and they put it away there through Garling and make it 3-1. So unfortunately, our comeback, it was pretty short-lived, and Bayern are now well and truly in control here of this tie. But thankfully, the second round this season, not the first, and now Garling gets in behind yet again. I think he stayed on side. We need to go for this, because obviously it's a cup game. So despite the fact there's still 15 minutes left here, we'll go a bit higher tempo and a bit wider. We won't do anything else, because I'm a bit afraid it's Bayern Munich still. They might carve us apart, but to be fair, it doesn't hurt anything. No goal differential here in the DFB-Pokal, but for some reason their Garling is just given a ton of space, and Herdez there gets beaten kind of at his near post, which is interesting with that save type they did try and pull off. And just like that, Bayern are now 4-1 in front. So unfortunately, that little high we hit off the back of that Ramsey assist and that Meyer goal, it did not last too long, but thankfully did go with a rotation for this game. So it's not been a complete waste of time. We now make our way into 4 minutes of added. A late free kick here to Bayern Munich. They put that one far post. Somehow there, Verli will put that one away. Thankfully, though, that did get ruled out. It did look a little bit too good to be true that he was offside. Here's the replay. Let's just see how clear-cut it was. And very would be the answer. So thankfully, they don't make it 5-1. Not that it makes too much difference, but yet again, we get Bayern there early in the DFB-Pokal. It's going to be very tough to beat them as a team up until we've had a couple of seasons probably in the Bundesliga to build this team even more. We're a proper 2 Bundesliga team here in terms of quality at Jahn Regensburg. There was never really much chance that we'd beat those guys, despite the fact that looked there for a little bit that we could push it close off the back of that Meyer goal, off the back of that really good Ramsey assist, that little back heel pass there that he pulled off. But it's a 4-1 defeat to Bayern Munich, which actually I think might be a worse scoreline than what we had last season. But we did rotate, and to be fair, I think that was a good decision with how we're doing in the 2 Bundesliga, but we go out in the second round of the DFB-Pokal. So yet again, Bayern do us early there in the second round of the DFB-Pokal. To be fair, one more than last season, but still a little bit frustrating. We've got them now 2 years in a row, quite early in the competition, but to be fair, this time a bit more money, which is quite useful, seeing as we beat some team, I think it was Phoenix Lübeck, back in the first round. Indeed it was, all the way back at the start of August. So we went a little bit further, but Bayern Munich are just way too good for us at this point of the save. So yeah, fingers crossed if we're still here next season, we don't get them at all. Hopefully they can play some other teams up until we get knocked out, probably a lot earlier than they will be. But yeah, we get done there by Bayern Munich, and also there was an injury picked up in that game to Charlie Allen. It's a little bit serious as well, a twisted ankle. He's out for 4 to 5 weeks once we send him to the physio. So yeah, to be fair, Pep now saying that we weren't that bad, just a little bit frustrating that we gave away there a couple of pretty soft goals for their first and third ones. If you take those out, it actually would have been a pretty decent game, but unfortunately we do lose there. Also worth noting, Ruslan has extended his contract here at Jahn Regensburg, albeit the only way we could do that is with a minimum fee release clause for teams in the Bundesliga of 3.1 million. So fingers crossed that we do get promoted at the end of this season when that clause does kick in, because he is wanted by some decent teams now, at least in terms here of in Germany as well as over it looks like in the Liga. But fingers crossed we actually get promoted, otherwise that could be a little bit of a silly move from me. But I'm pretty confident with how we're looking in the 2 Bundesliga, which we can now focus on completely off the back of getting knocked out there of the DFB-Pokal. So that will do it for today's episode. Hopefully you enjoyed it there, that draw with Nürnberg and that loss to Bayern. Between them though, picked up a big win in the derby. But if you enjoyed that one, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying the series here on the channel, also make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well. As I said during that last game, not exactly sure what will come back for in tomorrow's episode, because before the winter break, honestly, doesn't look too challenging, touch wood. So I'm kind of hopeful we'll pick up some relatively good points in these next 5 games. And then off the back of that winter break, Rufer Firth, of course, drew with them when trying the 4-4-2 early in the season. This time we won't be doing that. Hanover are doing relatively well as Mainz, but those games are a little bit far apart. So honestly, not too sure what we'll come back for in the next episode. Probably though, if I had to put my finger on it, I'd say Rufer Firth and Hanover right off the back of coming back from that winter break. So until then, thank you very much for watching. Keep on keeping on, and I'll see you then. Cheers.